why don't we just have like way more startups than we currently see? There's so many companies that are like, hey, create your idea, right? Create your idea, create it, like do the thing. Where are the tens of thousands of companies that didn't exist before?
So many people say that this is a problem and say that they will actually pay money for this.
Right.
But when push really comes to shove,
No one.
and they have to get their credit card out, very few people are willing to.
Very few people will.
Would you accept the outcome of a courtroom case where AI is the judge and the jury if it has been shown to be more aligned with actually executing the faithful representation of the laws than real judges are? We're live. We're on the Pre-Chain Pod or something like that.
I kind of feel like law is just not going anywhere. Like, you know, you have companies like Harvey that are doing like AI law stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, I kind of feel like
Are you saying like literally the profession of lawyers are
the
not going
profession of
anywhere?
lawyers, I don't think that's going anywhere, you know? Like, I don't think that there's a single AI model that's created a law where we're like, oh, that's a better law than
That sounds great.
that sounds great.
Sign me up for
That's
that
what we
future.
should do, right?
Well, I think it's hard when these things aren't really thinking, at least not in the conventional sense.
AI models?
Yeah.
Or lawyers?
AI models. Well, here's a question, right? Let's say that humans are still writing the laws.
Okay.
Humans are still writing the laws. Would you accept the outcome of a mediation or a courtroom case where AI is the judge and the jury if it has been shown to be more aligned with actually executing the faithful representation of the laws than real judges are? Because they have shown that, like, if a judge that's doing parole applications is looking at your parole app right before a lunch break or right before they
You know,
go
this is
home-
like an Israeli study.
Is it?
Yeah.
So it's about Israeli judges?
I think so, yeah.
Didn't know that, no.
Yeah.
But
I've heard
I
this
assume this is
study-
true everywhere.
No, I'm sure
I
this
mean,
is true.
like-
I'm sure this is true, yeah. Is the question like, do I rather trust the AI judges or the human judges?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I think the human judges have a notion of like stakes that AI judges don't, right? Like, I think a human judge has some deep understanding of what it means to go to jail that an AI model doesn't have because it's not programmed as a core primitive. Whereas humans have this like core primitive, which is like compassion and empathy, you know? To
And
me-
stakes.
And stakes. But I think those emerge from the fact that we have like a sense of empathy with each other.
Oh,
right?
that's interesting.
Whereas models learn this as an emergent property. I mean, look at humans, right? Like, even like a 2-year-old human will have a notion of like consciousness, will have a notion of like object permanence, and will have a notion of like theory of mind, right? Like a 2-year-old, by the time that they're like 2.5, they understand that what you think is different than what they think. And so they play this like game theoretic scenarios in their heads where they're like, oh, well, if I know that this is the reality, but Pierce wouldn't know that, then I should probably act a certain way because Pierce might not need to know reality. Like I don't know, like Pierce doesn't know that it's Dad's birthday next week, but I know that it's Dad's birthday next week. But Pierce shouldn't know that it's Dad's birthday next week because Pierce, I don't know, can't
Isn't
be
in the
trusted
family.
or
Sure,
isn't in
sure.
the family. So let me not tell him, basically, right?
Yeah, so yes, I think I agree. But I think then sociopaths would break way more laws.
Which they do.
No, I think for the most part, sociopaths are kept in check by... Because obviously we know about the famous cases of sociopaths being like mass murderers, which is true.
Right.
Because they don't have any empathy for other people or
Right.
like notion of like, you know, value of other people's lives.
Oh, that's
But I
interesting.
think there are more sociopaths out there that are kept in check even without empathy and more just because they're fearful of the risks and repercussions.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, for sure. But not all sociopaths are mass murderers.
No, dude. And I
Are you
know,
are you suggesting that
No,
they,
and I know that you of all people, you really stand up for the the Sociopaths of America Association.
So listen, it's a minority. Yeah, that's right. I'm sure that's true.
I mean, I'm sure you're right it's one of these things that you just
I
don't
think it's
really
I think it's
about too
both.
much.
Ideally, you have the layers of I'm not gonna do this thing because it's wrong.
Yeah.
But also, like the whole reason why laws have teeth and are not just suggestions is because the thinking is
I think that's
that
right.
empathy enough is not, and that's the extreme case. Like sociopaths are the extreme case. But there's
Yeah.
even the people who are like, oh, like I don't agree with this law,
100%.
and society wants them to still
100%.
abide by the law, which is why prison is on the table if you don't.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, but I also thought that the bit with sociopaths is that they don't have empathy with themselves, really. That they're just kind of like, yeah, like whatever happens, happens, you know?
Oh, that's
Like,
interesting.
like I don't have,
They almost don't care.
where it's almost like you're scared of something because you're worried about your future self's condition, right? Like that's why you don't want to do something. It's because you're fearful of what that will mean for you in like 10 years from now. But if you don't have empathy with other people, you might not be able to have empathy with the future version of yourself.
That resonates. Right?
I mean, right?
It's like being able to put yourself in the mind frame of other people,
Of other
including
people.
like future you.
Future
It's kind
you,
of a different
exactly.
being from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so going back to then the judge question,
I think I'd prefer humans still.
because
think
they have
so.
that notion of stakes.
Well,
and
because
empathy,
I think
on
they have this
average.
notion of stakes and empathy on average. And I think that I think like, there's this notion of the spirit of the law that I think humans understand deeply that machines just don't have inherently. Like when I talk about the spirit of the law, right? Like when we have certain laws, like for instance, like no loitering for more than 30 minutes, right? What's the spirit of the law? The spirit of the law is like, don't hang out here for a super long time, right? That's kind of what people...
Well, I think the spirit of the law is racist, right?
Okay, maybe that was a bad example. Let's say that the spirit of the law is like, hey, like, don't park here for more than 5 minutes. No stopping for longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Spirit of the law is like...
Your
well,
car can't loiter here for more than 5
Well,
minutes.
it's like people are going to be coming through here a bunch, right? But if it's like 2 a.m. and there's no other cars around, I think you should be I think it's totally fine to stay there for like an hour or two, right? Because you're not
You're saying
breaking the spirit
morally?
of the law. Yeah, I think morally.
Yeah, I think that's
I think
right.
when you're crafting these laws, like the whole take is like let's have laws that are unequivocally true always in the worst case scenario, right? And so it's like, okay, the worst case scenario is like it's really full. There's a ton of cars on the street. So in that case, we don't want people loitering for more than 5 minutes in their cars. So let's make that the law.
Mm.
My point is though, that I think that humans are really good at like having this like sort of like more holistic understanding of ethics and morality. And I don't know if AI models can really have that same sort of understanding of the spirit of the law and differentiating that from the facts of the case. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my only concern. And
Well, it also just doesn't it feel bad on some level?
yeah.
It's the same reason that I wouldn't really want an AI model to be my doctor, even if the results are better. Now, maybe the doctor and
I
the
think
judge
with
can
the-
Consult
Right.
with an AI model, but I think
Right.
there's something to like the bedside manner, the empathy. Maybe here's another thing is
Yeah.
like, even if you do commit a crime,
Right.
I would love to be able to be in a hearing of my peers that understands that while I might have broken a law, I did so in an understandable way.
And I think that's what I'm saying with this whole spirit of the law thing.
Yeah.
You know? Where it's like your peers will be like, okay, I know this is the law. We all know this is the law. You're not supposed to do this thing. But look at the scenario, right? Pierce didn't.
Or everyone does this. It's like everyone goes 75 on one.
Yeah, and it's like, look, we have a common understanding of it, right?
I, for the record, do not go 75 on 101.
You go 87, dude.
On my Ducati.
On your Ducati, exactly. I feel like that is like fundamentally human to have this understanding of like a holistic understanding of what the laws are meant to do and to apply the law on a case by case basis.
Maybe, okay, here's another thought. Maybe you could do both, but it's erring on the side of innocence. Because we have this notion that like,
Interesting.
innocence until proven guilty.
Right.
Maybe the idea is that we do a trial of your peers, which gives you this human notion, this empathy.
Okay.
But then there's an AI model, again,
Sure.
assuming like very high calibration accuracy,
Sure.
that also weighs in independently. And if either the people or the model say that you're innocent, then you get let off. Because I think that the risk in a lot of courtrooms is on the flip side of the equation of
Okay.
people actually will convict you for something even though you are innocent. Like there are a lot of stories of people that are still incarcerated and who didn't actually do that crime, and the jury was like swayed by one thing or the next,
Sure.
or like couldn't be
Sure.
objective in some way. I wonder if maybe the answer is not a whole rip and replace, but actually just we have these things working in parallel. And it's like, if some officer is
okay.
choosing
I like
parole
that.
cases,
I
they
like
also
that.
weigh in for the empathy, but
think
then the
that's
model also weighs in. And if either the model or the judge says,
Sure.
yes, we'll let these people go, maybe it goes to a third judge or like a circuit of
that's right.
judges
I think that's right.
that disagree.
I mean, I think what you want is basically a sense of like autonomy from these things, right? I think the autonomous nature of these tools, where it's like you don't know what they're doing in their thinking process, you just get the output, and then trusting that in a high stakes scenario is terrifying to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right.
As it should be.
As it should be. As it should be. And dude, like honestly, like when I'm at work and I'm like using these models to code, I think what makes a developer these days a good developer, not that I'm a good one, but is like the
Yeah,
sense
you're a great one.
is a sense of like
You're
this,
not
like,
just good, you're
is a
great.
spidey instinct of like, oh shit, like this is high stakes, like this could be bad, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, if it gets this wrong.
Totally.
And then like verify deeply in those cases.
Or do it yourself. Yeah.
Or do it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a stakes weighting, exactly. And so I think that is part of the issue with just having like AI be a lawyer, is that you're just giving it access to like some of the highest stakes scenarios and making a decision autonomously. But using it as part of the process of law, I think, is reasonable. I mean, they're good search engines, right? Like they search through so many documents and so many web sources with like all these tool calls that they have available now. So I think like the job of like a paralegal might be gone potentially. But the job of a lawyer, I think, is still very much going to be there.
Yeah, I wonder if people said something similar, anything similar, when LexisNexis came out, like the big legal database.
What
I
was
wonder
this again?
Well, this is still the software that most law firms use to like
really?
dig through court filings. Yeah,
LexisNexis?
LexisNexis,
Huh.
named like the car company, totally different, but
So
like
funny.
named in the same way that the car
Right.
company is. And as far as I know, it's just this web-based database. So you can plug in search queries and then see case load
case
and
law.
relevant cases and click through the judges. It's kind of like Google Scholar,
Right.
except just for court cases. And they've aggregated them from all these different municipalities and
Really?
federal government, which are otherwise public but are hard to actually access and to index because there are all these PDFs.
That's the worst. I hate when things
I mean,
are
now
public.
it seems like just a trivial application too to build
right.
this thing.
I mean, if it's public, then I think LexisNexis is screwed because these models could just be searching over
Yeah.
that public information.
Well, I think they're public, but some of them are not online. It's like you
Oh,
literally
really?
need to go to the courthouse
And
in
ask for this data.
middle of freaking nowhere and scan through
Wow.
actual paper that have these court listings.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think it's
Jesus.
true. It's like not all digitized for sure. So
And so LexisNexis does this.
LexisNexis does this, came out, was a revelation because
Wow.
now paralegals no longer had to go through binders and binders of
documents.
court histories. Yeah.
But even now, won't they do this thing like depositions where they'll swamp you with documents so you don't find the one document you need?
Oh,
Have you heard about this?
Is this really true?
I mean, you should ask your mom about this, but I
Yeah.
think it's true. Like, I think what they'll do is like if you're looking for a document, they'll give you back like 10 million.
Because they have to give you the document.
Yeah,
But-
so they'll give you like 10 million
Yeah.
documents, and it's like, all right, good luck. You
Find
know,
the needle in the haystack.
Find it. Yeah. Can you just imagine like receiving like a truckload of documents?
Yeah.
And being like, all right, the sentence that you're looking for is somewhere in here.
Well, now with AI, this would be trivial.
It would be trivial.
That's actually
It
a
would be
use case that I
trivial.
feel like I haven't really heard any
But I feel
lawyers
like-
talking about.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like if you just put in your data room. First off, I don't know how data rooms are shared now. Maybe there's some requirement that you need to be able to share deposition documents electronically in PDFs instead
right.
of actually via hard copy. But like, if
'Cause
you
everyone would
really don't
choose
want to
hard
play
copy, I
ball,
guess,
yeah, you would
right?
choose hard copy.
Yeah.
You would swamp them with
would swamp them.
everything. You would
Yeah,
swamp
100%.
them. But now, yeah, you could scan it. You could run OCR, and
It wouldn't even be that hard.
you could probably just search through for I guess maybe composing the query would be a little hard.
Right.
You know, it's just like look for something that's salacious.
Right.
Within all these documents, that might be a little hard or unguided, but you could pretty easily do everything besides that.
Basically.
Yeah,
I
like
think that's
upstream
right.
of that.
I think that's right. Why don't we just have like way more startups than we currently see? Like, we have these tools. We have Lovable, right? We have Replit. Like, where are like the thousands of companies that should be currently being built and being sold by folks that don't have coding experience? There's so many companies that are like, hey, like, create your idea, right? Create your idea, create it, like, do the thing. There's so many companies that do that. Where are the tens of thousands of companies that didn't exist before, you know? Like, there should be, like, not twice or three times as many companies. There should be like a bunch of different mom and pop like food brands popping up, and like t-shirt and clothes sellers, right? And like dog walking businesses, like all of these businesses. Where are they, you know?
Were those businesses really limited by not being able to code though?
I don't know. Maybe not, right? Maybe that's the problem. Like there just isn't that much of a problem that's being solved by these tools. But
Yeah,
no code, low code tools.
I kind of think the barrier to entry, if you want to start a dog walking service or a bakery 4 years ago, you could just go to Squarespace.
Right.
I mean, at least if you're looking for a website, if you're looking for like back end automation processes, maybe that would be a little
So I guess,
harder.
yeah, I guess.
But I think
what
people would
is-
just use Excel.
Okay, but like we're like the really ambitious companies then, you know?
Well, I think ambitious. I think there's a bifurcation.
Yeah.
Because I think the companies that are mom and shop businesses have never needed code.
Okay, so they haven't needed
fundamentally.
it.
They haven't really needed it. They can
Right.
still benefit from these new age things if they have access to them, but that wasn't the blocker of starting the
Sure.
business. I think the blocker is like getting a bank loan or feeling like you have the kind of risk tolerance to
Sure.
do it.
Okay. So-
Or being in a financial position
Right.
where you feel comfortable taking that risk. I think that has always been the biggest blocker. And then I think the people that are really ambitious are the same non-technical founders that go out and can raise 15 million from Sequoia.
Right.
It's like they're still there, and then they just find technical talent to actually go out and build the thing.
So you're saying like that middle class of person who before wouldn't have started a company, but now is starting a company because of these tools, like doesn't really exist.
Well, I guess the question for you is, I think there are. I mean, like in the indie hacker community, I feel like
Yeah.
some of those people didn't code, but like, you know, that's still a pretty niche community on
Right.
Twitter. Like, why do you think that the middle tier has not started these companies?
I don't know. I think it's confusing. I mean, I think there should be like 100 times more apps on the App Store. Is that the case? I feel like it's not, right?
I mean, I guess walk me through the motivation of someone to launch an app on the App Store today. Like, are you trying
'Cause
to
it's
make money?
easy.
Do
Yeah,
you
you're
have
trying
a
to make-
problem?
No, you just
Want to make money.
here's the pitch of these companies. It's like it's Saturday, right? You're maybe a designer at a company. You have this fun idea. It's like, hey, what if we do this? OpenAI will then sell you this ad where it's like, well, you go to your laptop, make yourself a cup of coffee, and 2 hours later you'll have an app on the App Store. And it's like, oh great. And then you have a little side business and you start making money, right? Where is that? Like I'm not like there should be so many people like that.
I think that's happening.
You think so?
I think that is happening. I think
Okay.
software only businesses. I think the issue is no business is a software only business, really. Like every software app requires some marketing, requires SEO. You need to build up this website. You need to have a personal presence. Like it becomes so much more work
Sure.
than
And then-
just writing the software thing or having Claude Code write you the software thing. So then people say, well, you know, like maybe I'll use OpenClaw
Right.
to automate this stuff for me.
Right.
But then you now are taking on so much work to agentify your business that it's still not really about the software. Like I think even if you can one-shot the software that you actually publish on the App Store, there's still the ecosystem question of, well, what do you do around it to get more than 0 purchases once it's on the App Store? And I think that still requires just like, you can't really ask OpenClaw to make this successful.
So do you feel like it's the marketing that requires the most human touch?
I think in the purest sense, probably.
Yeah.
At least marketing is up there with one of those things. It's very hard
Well,
to
with what
automate.
else? Like you can use Shopify to sell your stuff, right?
Well, I think having the idea that's compelling, having the framing of it that's compelling for people,
Sure.
which isn't just marketing. That's like product
people have
positioning.
had that for
design.
People come up with ideas easily,
Yeah, but I think most of them just aren't that good.
right?
Or there's a none of it that is good.
Right.
But I always think back to this mom test. So the example in the book is if you are standing in line at a grocery store,
Yeah.
and you are tying the line next to you and you're like, you know, isn't it so annoying that we have to manage these coupon books? Guy next to you's like, yeah, man, like, it's a bane of my existence.
Sure.
My wife does this all the time. Takes so much time. You're like, well, fantastic. I'm actually working on an app where you can put the coupon codes directly on your smartphone.
Okay.
This guy's like, oh, dude, sick. I would absolutely use that.
Right.
And you think to yourself, oh, amazing. I just found a customer.
Sure.
Like, this guy would
Sure.
absolutely
Sure.
buy what I'm selling. The reality, though, is if someone really cared that much, they probably would have already solved the problem for themselves.
I guess what I'm saying is
Right.
like you're speaking like a la 2015.
Yeah.
In 2026, these companies, the vision that they'll sell you is that go to your laptop, open up Cloud Code. 20 minutes later, you'll have a working version of this thing.
Which is the guy who's selling the coupon code idea.
Yeah,
in this
or the guy who's
situation.
in line, right? He talks to this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, genius, I have this idea. In 2015, he would have stopped working on this once he realizes that it's not that easy to do, right?
But I think my take is that there is a cohort of people who are using these tools right now that are building that coupon app idea. Claude Code manages to make it work. You put it on the app store.
Put it on the app store.
But it's just not useful. Like, no one actually
I agree
wants
with you.
it.
But do you think that there are 10 times more apps than there were like 2-3 years ago?
Maybe not 10 times, but I think there's significantly more apps. Even just down to like all of the coding app clones that are out there on the App Store. There's like 300 AI assistants that are trying to get some of the SEO market share from Codex and Claude. Like, a little bit. I think because it's so easy to spin up these apps now, and like Electron has made this so much easier and
Right.
React Native,
Right.
that I do actually think that if you looked at the lowest rated apps in the App Store, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a proliferation
Of
that was
awful
not
apps.
true, of terrible apps.
But dude, there was awful.
I guess there were terrible apps back in 2015 too.
Like
They
the
just
majority of
were
apps
all
were
outsourced
awful.
dev shops who would make really bad apps.
Right. I guess I just don't see like how this is going to boost the economy as much as we think it will, if it hasn't already happened. Right. There's a world in which in 2026, a lot of the GDP comes from these small startups where people before would have tried to code these things and would have failed. Now they're successful and they actually start generating meaningful value to the economy. Maybe they're not building like $10 million businesses, but there should be like many $100,000 businesses being built right now. And there just aren't really. I don't think.
But you see some of them on Twitter.
But like again, it's like this scale.
You think those people just would have done it otherwise, or there should be an order of magnitude more than
There
them.
should just be we should just be like flooded by these companies. But we're not.
I just think it's really hard, man.
Maybe.
I think if you look at the indie hacker community on
Yeah.
Twitter, you will see the surge, the influx of people who are trying out these things, and then they'll
Right.
tweet 5 times about this idea that they spent the weekend doing.
So it's the
and
marketing.
they kind of lose interest.
So it's the marketing, dude.
It's the marketing. It's what they're building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the intersection. And I think it's like
I
harder
think
to
you're right,
keep these
dude.
things going. It's harder to like keep the passion and the flame alive within you
If you
if you're just trying to make it quick.
because
buck.
I think the marketing is the hard part.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I think marketing might just be the one job that is super hard to replace.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's a good soundbite.
Like sales and marketing.
Sales, marketing, yeah, like enterprise sales, because you just
Yeah.
need relationships to real people.
You need relationships.
That's hard to bootstrap.
100%.
The marketing element of you need to be able to know. I guess it's like in a week.
Yeah.
If you're currently prioritizing
Yeah.
building your app,
Yeah.
heads down,
Yeah.
really grinding it out, you're almost guaranteed to fail,
You think so?
basically. I think unless your app is so technically complicated that you have to de-risk the technical part of the equation before you de-risk the market part of the equation, it's almost always harder to get the market to be right size than it is to get the coding to
That's
be right
interesting.
size.
I think
Whether
that's
you're
right.
using Claude Code or whether or not you're doing some outsourced dev shop or whether or not you hired a really cracked engineer in SF,
Just getting
like
someone to pay
it's
for
kind of
your
the same
shit
thing.
is so hard.
It's really hard to convince people
Yeah.
because that's also what back to the coupon thing. It's like
Yeah.
so many people say that this is a problem and say
Right.
that they will actually pay money for this.
Right.
But when push really comes to shove,
No one.
and they have to get their credit card out, very few people are willing
Very few
to.
people will.
Which is still why there's like so much
Well, here's
so much money in billboards. It
Here's
seems
a
so
take
silly.
for you, dog. What if it's like, what if in the future, when we give agents our credit card, agents will be much more willing to buy software that other agents have produced because they don't have that same sense of hesitation? Like, what would you call it? You know,
Yeah, hesitation, frugalness, maybe.
frugalness. You know, that just feels so human in some sense. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely
You
a
don't
world.
think agents would be frugal?
Maybe not, dude. Like, maybe the rational choice for a lot of folks is to spend more money than they're currently spending.
Mm.
Like, maybe the take is honestly like, let's say I'm trying to build my shitty AI startup, right? And I set an agent off into the wild, you know, just fully loose with my credit card, and I'm like, hey, build me this thing that I need. Maybe the right call is for that agent to use that credit card to buy a bunch of other software created by other folks like myself that are building shitty AI startups. and it's just like a circular
Yeah.
like economy of agents buying stuff other agents have created, you know? Something like that.
I mean, I think that's a distinct possibility, especially for corporations. Like maybe not your personal agent. Like
Sure.
Richard GPT might
Sure.
not be doing this, but like, yeah, your corporate bot. If something, I think in the build versus buy debate, right now everyone is over torquing on build because
Right.
the build is so cheap.
Right.
But I think people have always underestimated how much the maintenance cost of that becomes over time. And there's an assumption now
Of maintaining that code
of
base.
maintaining that code base.
Right.
And maintaining the processes
Sure.
and everything around it, like
Sure.
really thinking through, still maintaining knowledge of what the system does. I think that there is an idea that that cost is trending to zero and is going to keep getting lower because the cost per token is going to be less.
Sure.
And like the cost per unit of intelligence is also less because the models are getting smarter.
Yeah.
I wonder if that will stop or reverse at some point where we have created so much code. Because in a world in which these models plateau,
Yeah.
I'm not saying they will, but like in a world in which they do plateau, I feel like you would have so many companies that have ended up with these slopped apps that are actually owning some pretty critical resource within their company or like process flow.
Yeah.
And they say, holy heck, we actually need to hire a team of engineers to do this thing because we don't know how the system works.
Right.
We vibe coded it and it kind of works, but it's like one of these duct taped pieces of code
Right.
that's super important.
But
And
wouldn't
we're
you have-
not sure.
Wouldn't you have like a meta thing kind of like always like making sure that everything's still compatible? Can you in the future just set
You're
off
saying like with an agent.
yeah.
I'm saying in a world in which agents, because right now if you have a complicated enough project,
Sure.
agents kind of fall flat. Especially I've noticed if it was agent written from the get-go. I think if you're plugging in agents to an existing code base that's really high quality and has pretty clear standards, they can do a pretty excellent job of
You think so?
of continuing the bar basically.
No, I agree with you, but I think what I'm saying is that if you orchestrate the agent in just the right way, you can get it to write really high quality code.
Okay, so say
From the
more, say
get-go.
more about how you do that then.
So you write like a claw.md file that is like whenever you
Make no mistakes.
start coding, make sure you do at least you spawn up 3 sub-agents to look at similar projects. You have them all write into a central doc what their discoveries are. Then you go and verify those 3. You pick the one that you think is like the best version of this. You then always check in with me. And then once we have done a thorough investigation of what the best possible solution might be, you then start coding. You also spin up a sub-agent that is like verifying your code somehow. You know what I mean though? Like you just set up the scaffolding for these things to work well. Like rather than just saying like this is the idea, go. A lot of the work I think is currently being spent on like scaffolding and building up the system of orchestration such that as soon as these agents produce code, it's on par, if not better than a human.
I mean, I think it really depends what you're doing. I think you would certainly do that. My point is only that most companies have not done that, and I think that actually takes a decent amount of AI sophistication
I think that's right.
to know that that's what you should do,
Sure.
and to keep the quality bar
Sure.
high enough where if you're merging something in,
I think
you,
that's right.
you just can't let the slop proliferate. I think the second that your code base, you start lowering the bar, it's a lot like hiring. It's like, you know, A minuses sometimes hire Bs. Those Bs hire Cs.
Sure,
Cs hire Ds.
sure,
The second
sure.
that you start kind of progressively lowering this bar
Well, here's-
and letting agents commit worse stuff, then your whole code base just gets more complicated. It loses some of these conventions that otherwise were coded in the system file. And I'm just saying that like right now, that then becomes pretty difficult for agents to then correct or interpret going forward. So you can end up kind of with this like spaghetti or meatball effect.
I
with
guess
the code
that's
base that you
right.
write.
I mean, but here's
And that's
here's-
bad for long-term maintenance.
No, I agree with you. I think in the long term though, if you're not incorporating and you're not being avant-garde enough now, you're gonna be in a world where, 2 years from now, you look around and you realize that there is no more slop being produced. Everything is super high quality, and because you haven't set up the system of orchestration and agents, your competitors just eat your lunch. I think that's the worry right now, is that if you don't accept the slop, and your competitors are accepting the slop,
You're gonna fall behind.
once these agents stop producing slop, well, now you've invested in the wrong thing, and now your competitors are completely dominating you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's like, to a certain extent, you have to be willing to accept bad code right now, because you realize that there's going to be this bit flip moment in the future where it's not going to be bad code, and now you're screwed, basically.
Yeah. I think that certainly is the gamble that everyone is playing right now.
Right.
So these models are going to get good enough at reading slop and
That's
fixing
right.
slop before you out slopify them.
Hey, Rory.
Oh my God, Rory.
Rory.
We're putting you in the hot seat.
Oh, Rory.
All right. So check this out, Rose.
Yeah, I'm peeping.
So basically, all right. So if you're feeling bullish about the state of AI, lick my face now.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a bear. We're looking at a bear.
Bearish? You're neither.
That's very
That's
sophisticated.
a sophisticated take. So would you say at the first job? Oh.
Oh, she liked that. Yep.
Okay. Would you say that the first job to go is going to be? Oh, she doesn't want to comment on this. You don't.